I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
There's 5 blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
Andrew MCcART, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Listen, as you already know, are you busy there, Billy?
I'm okay.
Okay, just double checking there. I seen you swiping up there. Somebody's been texting you.
No, something come up. Something come up. Wasn't a text? Sorry.
All right, okay. Yeah, how's life? How's things? How's the nostril here?
Nostra Hill's good, mate. It's good. I'm buying a fly mode tomorrow at B&Q. Try and get rid of it for once and for all.
There you go. That's good to hear, man. That's good news. I think some of the comments underneath this will be the guys will be glad to hear some of the guys that comment on that. But anyway, yeah, the reason I wanted to get you is I already got you and got your views on the Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. fight, but obviously after the last night with Chris Eubank Sr. coming out and saying that he doesn't want his son to cut the weight and he's pulled him from the fight, but then we've heard that Ronnie Davis and Kalasawa have both said that the fight is still on. I just want to get your thoughts on Chris Eubank Sr.'s view on the fight, that it's a 3 pound extra weight cut from 160 to 157. And do you share his thoughts on it being dangerous for his son?
I've always stipulated that these kind of fights shouldn't happen. 2 seconds, mate. I've always said that they shouldn't happen. It's detrimental to a boxer's health coming down. He's never done less than 160. I'm led to believe 157 is the lowest. 160. He's only done 160, so 3 pound low on that. As you've got older, I think he's been a pro maybe 8 years now. Very, very difficult thing to do. Even worse, there's a stipulation for the rehydration. There should be no. I don't even agree with the IBF ruling that there should be a stipulation for rehydration. You are what you are next day. See, if it was such an issue, way in the morning of the fight, what they used to in the olden days.
Yeah. I think it was a WBC that got the day before weighing back in the day, wasn't it? They changed it.
Well, they'll do it now. But if it's such an issue, especially at the lower weights where guys are putting on 1.5 stone plus from the day before the day before weigh-in to when they walk into the ring, which is a bit too much. It is too much. So I mean, if you're a light welterweight, you're getting in the ring basically a middleweight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You can almost see where Senior's coming from and the concern that he has.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But the concern should have been highlighted during negotiations. You know, really, a lot of money's been spent on that promotion now, and I hope they can see through it and they can get an alternative. But the hydration clause would be the biggest factor. Move up to 160, the weight up to 160, no hydration.
But the fight's going ahead. Obviously, hearing from Ronnie Davis's coach, Junior's coach, and then obviously Kalasawa. I've seen a couple of interviews from himself saying that the fight is 100% on. So, with that sort of being said, and obviously you're Conor Benn, like he's training, like I'm following him on Instagram, and you can see that he's sparring 10 rounds and he's running up hills. He's constantly he seems like his mind is on the game. And you've got Junior, who a lot of people are saying that when he was at the KSI fight, he was eating KFC. You
honestly think he was eating KFC?
Listen, I wasn't there. If he was, if it was,
But do you think he's that unprofessional as eating KFC in public in front of the whole boxing fraternity?
No. Well, he took a bit of chicken. He did take a bite of chicken in one of the interviews, so maybe he just teasing.
So a bite of chicken is different from eating a bucket of chicken.
Who would know that better than you?
He's maybe not had it and eat for 4 or 5 hours prior to that bite of chicken.
That's very true. Well, that being said, you mentioned the rehydration clause as well being the concern for you, and the 3 pounds under the 160. You still favour Eubank in the fight then?
Oh, 1,000,000%, because he's a better boxer, and he's going to be naturally bigger. But he's going to be bigger on the night. he absorbs a punch, he takes a punch well.
Mm.
That will be tested, I think, early rounds with Connor's power. But does Connor carry the power right through the end of the fight? 12 rounds. That's to be seen. Can Connor take a punch? That's to be seen. A lot of question marks regarding both, but I think more on Connor's side because of the level of opposition that he has fought. I mean, he's a good fighter, but at 147, he's a good fighter.
There is a lot of variables that people are looking at this fight. They're looking at the inexperience of Benn compared to Chris, and then Connor is obviously, he's the smaller man, Eubank's the bigger man. You've got loads of variables in this fight where I've spoken to a couple of people, and some people actually, it's probably maybe 60-40 Eubank, the amount of people I'm talking to, that which is quite...
But you don't know a lot of people that know anything about boxing, Andy, to be fair.
It's just you, Billy, to be honest.
And you're from Edinburgh.
Well, that's it. I fucked up there.
It says a lot. It says a lot, big man. It does. Believe me.
That's the fighting capital of Scotland. Edinburgh's the fighting capital of Scotland, Billy. Just understand that.
Who told you that?
Let me just run it by you then, okay?
Okay.
Josh Taylor, Lee McGregor,
Right.
Alex Arthur, Ken Buchanan.
Right. Let's go back to the start. Right.
You say Benny Lynch.
Benny Lynch, world champion. Scott Harrison.
I'll get Scott Harrison.
Ricky Burns.
Ricky Burns is Coatbridge. He's no Glasgow. You're not having him.
He's Glasgow. He was trained in Glasgow. Pat Clinton. Paul Weir. Trained in Glasgow.
I see. You're just trained in Glasgow.
Shall I continue?
No, I'm just saying, who's the greatest Scottish boxer? Jim Watt. You forgot Jim Watt.
Jim Watt, of course.
Yeah. Who's the greatest boxer, though? Who's the greatest boxer to come out of Scotland?
Boxer. Ken Buchanan.
Ken Buchanan, yeah.
Boxer. The biggest achiever, Ricky Burns.
Oh, Josh.
And yet,
Josh undisputed.
oh, of course. I currently, of course, I.
Anyway, we're off topic a little bit there. Okay, we can have this discussion later on in life when we're old and grey.
I'm already old and grey, mate.
Sure, my Billy, don't worry. Listen, yeah, another big news story that's come out is obviously 258 Management, which is Joshua's management company. They've come out and said they've accepted all the terms from Fury's team for a December 3rd fight, which will be 60-40 split to Fury in the first fight, and if the rematch clause, it'll be a 50-50 split. So
why is there a rematch clause in it?
Listen, I don't know, Billy. I think it's
if the underdog wins, right, and AJ's got to fight, wins the Usyk fight. The Usyk fight will then get put back to June, July, maybe later. These titles are getting tied up for no apparent reason.
I think that's
what about everybody else? How? Answer me the question. WBC, Anthony Joshua was not in the top 15 on Saturday night. He's now appeared at number 6.
Number 7, I think he is, number 6.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
After 2 defeats. Yet Martin Bakole beats the Olympic gold medalist and he's number 6 or 7. So he's dropped down and Anthony's came for not in the rankings to number 6 or 7. How can that be?
You know yourself, Billy, a lot of people say that boxing is a business before it's a sport. So, and you've been in the game long enough to realise that.
Oh, I know how it's been. I know how it's been done. I know how it's been done and why it's been done. But it's incorrect. It's just the fact that it's incorrect. It's unfair on people that are in the WBC that have been winning. First and foremost, rankings are based on victories, winning, and getting the ranking that you duly deserve. He's been beating his last 2 fights, and that's not. I'm not having. It's not. It's just. I'm not having a go at the organisation and any of the boxers. A boxer gets beaten, wins. You know, it happens all the time. But if you've lost 2 in a row, you can't go up the way. You can't go up the way.
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
No, if it was football, somebody said on Twitter today, "Oh, it's based on because he was a champion for such a long time." Well, the football rankings are out now, and just a wee terminology, a wee example. Rangers are quite high up in the European list because of what they've achieved lately. Celtic won the European Cup and they're miles behind Rangers in Europe. And Europe, not on the football.
You know it's just Europe, mate. You know it's just
Europe. But the point is, it's judged on recent results.
Mm-hmm. No, I see
We're
your
miles
point.
ahead.
I do see your point in that. I kind of see the frustration, obviously, when you've got a fighter like Martin Piccoli who's in them WBC rankings as well. But that being said, obviously, Tyson Fury, when he can't get the Usyk fight in December, Usyk wants a longer time off to spend with his family and whatnot. So the next best thing, Tyson Fury making the voluntary, and who's the next best fighter for a voluntary that gets the fight, the fans talking, the boxing world talking? I think Joshua is clearly that name. So
Don't get me wrong, it's a great fight if it happens.
are you still on the if rather than when?
Yes.
Why?
I just am. Because I've got my own thoughts on it.
Right. Well, listen, I think as boxing fans, I think we want to see the fight, and I know that you've seen Tyson Fury up close and sparring and stuff like that. You've also seen Joshua up close in training camp and in sparring and stuff like that. You've seen their fights, obviously. You followed their careers up until many, many years ago, up until present day. With all that being said, and what you know of both fighters, who wins?
If Tyson Fury applies himself the way he normally does and should, he'll stop Joshua within 6 rounds.
And I know you're a betting man. You think Joshua's good? But again, obviously Tyson, number one heavyweight in the world.
Joshua has got to knock Tyson out because if he can't outbox him, he just cannot outbox him. Couldn't outbox Usyk, and Tyson Fury is a much bigger, heavier version of Usyk, longer reach, still got all those skills, fast feet. His feet are unbelievable. I was in his gym last week, and I was watching his feet work. I actually had him on the pads for 4 rounds. He asked me to do some pad work with him for 4 rounds, and different class.
That was some experience.
Aye, well, it was very nice of him to ask me to do it, and we done 4 good rounds on the pads. Great learner.
He's like I've been privileged enough to see him train in Texas and in Vegas, and it's like he's just got an engine on him that doesn't stop.
People don't realise it. People think because he's such a big guy and that his mobility is bad now, but it's far from it. His feet work's brilliant. His boxing brain's fantastic. As is Joshua's. Joshua's got a great boxing brain, but movement wise and shot selection, Fury's better than him.
Just staying on Joshua though, I mean, for coming off them two losses against Usyk, but then just saying like not even a thought in his head other than a yes to jump in with Tyson Fury after these 2 losses. I mean that.
Well, it wasn't. That's not the case. That's not the case because they tried to make it December the 17th when Fury never actually had a date, or it was the original date for. Well, there was no date. Well, it was claimed that it was the original date for Usyk, but they may have cancelled that when Usyk made publicly that he didn't fight. He wasn't fighting in December.
What I'm trying to say is obviously he's got a fighter's mentality because obviously coming in from 2 back to, he doesn't want an easy warm-up fight to get back in the win column. He's taking on he did. Eddie stated 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago that he was going to do a round the world tour. So you're not going to fight the top guys if you're doing a round the world tour. So they were obviously contemplating getting 3, 4, 5, 3 or 4 easy wins and then getting back in the picture. So that's not necessarily the case. Maybe this is the pension fight. Well, listen, I spoke in numerous interviews. I mean, I think it was again with Fraser Clark and maybe a couple of other guys down in Liverpool and that. And I said, like, for me as a selfish boxing fan, I don't want Joshua and Tyson Fury to retire until they fought each other. And I think,
neither.
Yeah, and I think win, lose or draw in the next fights or whenever, I don't care if they're Pacquiao, Floyd, Mayweather age and it's 5 years down the line. I still want to see that fight, but I'm happy that they're both fighting each other relatively in their primes. Maybe you could argue, and we're going to get to see like a WC heavyweight title fight
Well,
here.
you can't say they're in the prime. They can't say they're in the prime if AJ's come off with
What I'm saying
3
is
or
they're
4
relatively in
losses.
their primes. He's coming off 2 losses, but he's still young. He's still strong. He's still
So
dangerous. I'm not saying he's in his prime. But I'm not saying I said relatively still in his prime.
If I was AJ's coach, I'd be going to get two wins, build up a relationship with his coach, understand how his coach works, his coach understands how he works, and then go for it. You're going for the fireplace into the fire here. Mm-hmm. You're going against a smaller guy that's very skilled against a big guy who can punch now with the same skill set.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people are looking at Big Tyson like. He might not, maybe you can take the quickness, but he has got the agility and the speed, and even like the size compared to Usyk, which is
you don't realize the reach and the quality of his jab until you're in the ring with him.
I've sparred Tyson before. I sparred Tyson in Texas. It was one of the best experiences of my life, man. When he was, it's just the sheer size of the man.
You wouldn't have hit him with a bag of rice. There you go.
Oh, I hit him with everything. Trust me, he let me hit him. He let me hit him, and he never buzzed him.
Never let you hit him. He let you hit his arms.
He never let me.
Andy.
He stood there like that. He stood there. He said, "I was hitting him with everything, the kitchen sink," and he was just like, "Nope, this little ant ain't doing shit to me." But it was an experience, and I enjoyed it. So
exactly, great experience.
Listen, Billy, as always, thank you so much for your time. I've got to take a class now in 10 minutes. So as always, I appreciate your time. And no doubt I'll see you in the next one, mate.
All the best, Andy.
Cheers, Billy. Thank you, bud.
Have some news for you shortly.
Okay. Ping me over a message and I'll come see you.
Take care, big boy.
Cheers, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
5 blokes outside my front door. You coming out?
One hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.